thank you very much. I'm very glad to be here. I will speak in English because I'm seeing everybody speaking. I hope that I'll be as clear as it would be in Romanian, because my approach is more, if we are talking about the strategical level, my approach is a bit more mundane, maybe tactical, operational level. I think what I'm trying to say is that we are working for the infrastructure. Infrastructure means mobility, logistics, all the things that support the great planification and the great plans. But before highlighting some aspects that we encountered, I would like to tell you a short story that happened closely that gave me a new perspective. Actually, it's more like a reminder. Last week I received home that order for mobilization in case of training and war. And although I'm an officer and I know this is normal, when I went to the center, the guy that received me didn't know that I was a lieutenant in reserve, and told me that people worry for nothing and so on. But still, seeing that paper I was, okay, so where do I have to go in case of mobilization of war? And I see that I had to go to a base in near Bucharest that we built. And I realized that for a second there, I get a bit reassured because I know that that facility is modernized and ready to operate. And I think this is very important for all of us in this room, especially Romanians, but not only. Even you, I found out I have to present there until I'm 63, so I have more to come. But also for you and your children, that having a great or a good infrastructure, in many cases, would protect a conflict to happen. But more so, if it happens, you want to go and do your duty in a modern and well-prepared facility. So this is the, let's say, human perspective opening. A short brief, at least 10 years, our group of company is doing mostly construction, design and construction for the military, almost all in the integrated form. And I have to say that we succeed in all the times producing great results, and we are involved in at least 3 air bases in Romania, Câmpia Turzi, Borcea, and few projects in MK in design phase. And not only that, we have worked for Patriot infrastructure, HIMARS infrastructure, and not only that, the multinational headquarters in Sibiu. What we have succeeded because my colleagues, I and myself, we took upon this project not as a contractual duty, but we understand the strategic importance of their being delivered on time. And for sure, I think in the past 5 years, all of our projects were finished before the due date. But you know, when you see that that's a thing that happened, you start seeing the way to improve. And I want to talk about this, because this is not the only conference, but everybody was speaking in the past about 2.5%, then 3, maybe 5 now. But everybody is saying allocated budget. So what I'm trying to say is we think about the budget, about executed budget, because allocation doesn't mean execution. So from my perspective, the approach on strategic infrastructure projects has to be seen because the title is challenge in. If you don't meet the challenge becomes a problem. And think about it, in this current situation, we have a lot of situation where 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, it's quite a lot. So I think that if we fail to meet this challenging in building infrastructure, the effect, it's at least at worst that a secret hostile service could produce on the country. So in this respect, I would like to pinpoint some aspects that I think should be addressed from our experience that could improve the situation of implementation of budgets? Because you were speaking about the strategic level, everybody is speaking about equipments, about bringing troops. High investment F-16, Patriot, which costs billions. But without delivering the infrastructure for that, that's a waste of money. That capability cannot be operational. So sometimes this, let's say, construction works, sometimes, actually many times, is not so relevant to that. So one of the aspects I think, and I have addressed that, even I had the chance to address it to Mr. Cavoli to see as an approach. We are not in a wartime for sure, but we are not in a peacetime. So I think one of the aspects that we've seen, and I've read that in Poland, some things have been addressed, is that the acquisition law for this kind of strategic project is not adequate. Because you need it now, a lot could happen in a year. In a year you do a tender. Then you have to implement that. So that's a very, very big issue. I think there are things could be done without change the layout, or we don't have to be in wartime to start doing this different. But I think having the money, having the political will, we can put a different, let's say, strategy according to the law. So I've seen that we have in Greece, I think in Poland, we have direct dialogue with preferred contractors that prove the performance, or we have project alliance, which is a type of public tender. I've seen it in Finland, I think in US, but it's also, of course, we can approach it here, where you put a team there and you focus on the result, the best result in the frame time. Then I have to address another aspect that is somehow affecting the fast implementation of these infrastructure projects, and this is the rapidity which we get the authorization, the permitting for the construction, the avises for the approvals for certain utilities, and the utilities by itself. So, I give you an example. In Câmpia Turzii, we had to design and build an infrastructure over 100 million euro in 2 years. And it's not the only situation, but the approvals to get the electric power needed took 1 year. And you cannot do that from the start. This is not normal in this current situation for strategic projects. And I think it's very easy to have an agreement that in these cases, utilities and approvals have to be top priority with the due date in mind. Because you have the security, you have the money in place, you have the international agreements and treaties or obligation, and you failed because a company doesn't give you, I don't know, some electricity. So I think here we can find solution to tackle this very fast and put it in a list of priorities, because you don't have to change major legislation. And I will give you another example. For example, working in 2 air bases, Câmpia Turzii and Borcea, the highway, and this is an example for mobility, is so close that if you throw a stone, you can hit the highway. But I've seen expression of the need to connect the airbase with the highway, but everybody was like, I think it's too complicated to do that. Too complicated for who? For Romania to get an approval to build 200 meters of asphalt to connect? for me, it was like the reaction was correct, taking in consideration what's happening. But if you think about the importance of mobility, you should not deviate 30 kilometers to villages when you have the highway right there, and at the highest level of the state, you can get the approval. So that's another example that, and it's not the only, even in MK, which is a bit more well-known, getting the electricity needed there, I think took like 26 months or something like that. So I think these aspects are very important and can fast-track a lot of the issues with a lot of involvement, both for money, both for the operational lift, but in the end, for keeping our word. You were speaking about trust. Delivering infrastructure for the troops builds trust. Another aspect that I observed during the years, and I think could be perfected with not such a big effort, and I have to tell you this, not to be, let's say, to critique on the person, but I've seen that there is a certain, let's say, apprehension or fear of assuming this kind of decision on the bureaucratic level. So I try to say like a bureaucratic anxiety to move things forward. And we are affected. I've seen it happen. We did great things with the great people from all the stakeholders. We have even some experience and the shared experience with the shape technicians that told us that, for example, multinational headquarters was a good source of best practice in order to build a multinational headquarters. But then we had delays from what I said, bureaucratical anxiety, because, and I think this happens a lot, people are afraid, and maybe for the right reason, to assume some decision, and that takes a lot of time. So my proposition here, maybe, as in the company we do things, in the private sector, is that maybe we can move the KPIs from best effort to best result. And if we tie the result to occupying the function, and then put in place the framework where, for example, if a representative of the institution has some doubts, we can have a green line, or maybe a group, that you can get the approval for the all the stakeholders, like I don't know how it's called,
Court of Accounts.
Any other institution that can say it's okay to take that decision. Take it now, take it fast. I think also this could be done, and we would gain years. Even yesterday I was speaking with somebody and said, with this we have to do things to buy time. This is cheap time, very cheap. We can buy a lot of time because we have the money. We can do we want to do execution of budget, not only allocation of budget. So these are somehow my key points. And I have another recommendation, because working in the critical infrastructure, and I think this is very important, I think that and this is not fair to say it, but I don't think that everybody should be qualified to work, and I mean private companies. I think private companies should prove their worth, and once they start the contract, you cannot say, I will do this in a year, and 3 years after, they are still in the contract. I think they should get involved in this strategic contract with higher penalties if they default, and maybe after 20% delay, they should go out. Okay, thank you. This was the last aspect I wanted to put in.
Okay, thank you very much, Cătălin. We thank you that you shared all of these concerns with us. We know what is in bureaucracy, but we need all of us to ring even more this time the bell in order to start filling the time constraints that we don't have enough time and we are not at peace at all, and we have to move forward, look for solutions. Thank you very much for coming from the private company. Obviously, you were looking for solutions. You already mentioned some of them.